Bottom of the hour, back on Get Up. Mike McCarthy introduced yesterday as the newest head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Just the fourth they've had since 1969. He's taking over after Mike Tomlin stepped down following 19 seasons. McCarthy, and this was really actually quite beautiful. Listen to how emotional he was talking about returning to the city where he grew up and fell in love with football.
You know, oftentimes coaches and players, you put on new team colors, and it takes a minute to feel comfortable in those new colors. But to be blessed beyond any measure, one day to put on the colors you wore since you brought home. I apologize. This city, this franchise, this fan base means the world to me. Because Pittsburgh's my world, and it's just awesome to be back here.
In your best case scenario, do you want Aaron Rodgers back as your quarterback next year?
That's nice the way he asked that, right? That was slick. But I mean, definitely. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't. I was able to sit back and watch the games. I watched most of the Pittsburgh games on TV, and I thought he was a great asset for the team.
Okay, so first and foremost, we wanted to play that beginning part because sometimes I think we overlook the fact that these are human beings and they have emotions, and this is a very big deal for him. He's from Pittsburgh, and carries that on his sleeve even as they beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl 15 years ago or whatever it was. So I wanted that in because I just thought it was very nice. Now we get to the business at hand. You heard him say he wants Aaron Rodgers back. There wasn't any question he was going to say that. Jeff, the question is, should he want that? Do you believe best case scenario, which is the way the reporter phrased the question, best case scenario for the Steelers, Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback next year?
I do. And listen, I don't think you bring Mike McCarthy in for Aaron Rodgers, right? As you're bringing Mike McCarthy in, you are trusting his development of quarterbacks throughout his career. And whatever he did in Green Bay, how he handled himself in Dallas, all the different, even back, when he was assistant coach and all the different quarterbacks he's dealt with. And so you're hoping that he can develop a quarterback room, right? First, second, and third, get guys prepared that if there are issues or situations, someone else can step in and win games. And so I think he understands when you're looking at the landscape, probably Aaron Rodgers is his best bet to start off, but he will be developing. And whether that's Will Howard to push Aaron Rodgers, but I think the conversation between he and Aaron is how long does this thing last? Are you good coming in and potentially being, kind of worked out, or is this a one-year thing? I think those are all conversations that fall under the, quote, best case scenario. But I do think as you look at the landscape, there's probably not many out there unless you're going to compete for the Malik Willises of the world and really go put your money where your mouth is that are going to outperform what Aaron did. And not that he played lights out, but he's comfortable in the system. He knows what Mike wants. He understands. They both know they can complete each other's sentences, all those kinds of things. So I think that's probably is his best case scenario.
Dominique, I've heard you complete Jeff's sentences. Do you agree? Do you agree with his take here? Is Aaron Rodgers the best case scenario for the Steelers?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they'll win more games, you would think, with Aaron Rodgers than maybe Howard and I think it's scary to think of a future given what's out there, given who's in the draft, where their draft picks are, what free agents they have opportunities to get. But Aaron Rodgers isn't getting better, and I'm concerned about the message that they're sending to their fans and the message that they're sending to their team by bringing Aaron Rodgers back if they do. Like, that message is, we moved on from Mike Tomlin because we've been tired. In part, I know they didn't choose to fire Mike Tomlin, but the frustration was we couldn't get past the first round. Bringing Aaron Rodgers back, I think, sends the message that we think we're going to make a run for the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers isn't a decision for the future. Yeah. He's not getting better than he was last year. This team is not a championship contender. So the tough part for me is I don't have an alternative to present to them that feels like they're going to win more games as a result. But I feel like Aaron Rodgers is not the answer. Like, at some point, they're going to have to rip the Band-Aid off and make a transition to another quarterback or another plan.
So when Neek says, I don't know what the solution is, that's part of the problem. Because keep in mind, 3 weeks ago, the Steelers did not expect to be in this position of needing a new head coach. They didn't think Mike Tomlin would be walking away, number one. It's similar to Buffalo, where the fans were told, they're going to try to find a new voice. Like, we're going to do this, and now the voice is just Mike McCarthy. I love the feel-good story of this. Having covered this team, having watched this team over the years, I'm just wondering, what is the long-term plan? Because Aaron Rodgers for this year makes sense. I think under Mike McCarthy, this offense will be better. But who is taking over? You have a 62-year-old head coach saying, I would definitely love to have a 42 to 43-year-old quarterback. That is not a process for long-term success.
He had 3 interviews. I'm told he did very well in all 3 of those interviews. And you could see during those sound bites why. He's so charming, and he is a winning coach. What he also says is that he doesn't just look at quarterback. He looks at quarterback room, which I thought was really interesting. And he was very, very positive on 6th-round pick Will Howard out of Ohio State. So McCarthy at his press conference mentioned Will Howard, and I can tell you, from the folks I spoke with in Pittsburgh who have some influence on how this was going to go as far as the coaching hiring process went, McCarthy blew them away, not only with his feel-good, sentimental Pittsburgh boy come home, but hey, you look at Aaron Rodgers and you look at Brett Favre and what I was able to do with those guys. You look at what I was able to do with Dak Prescott. You look at when Dak Prescott got injured. Quarterback room, no one has a greater grasp on it, and I believe in your 6th-round pick, Will Howard. What's interesting is last year, they passed on Jackson Dart. They passed on Shedeur Sanders. They passed on all these players. Will Howard they selected. Let's see if he's the guy.
All right, so the quarterback room might have Aaron Rodgers in it. We'll wait and see. We have lots of football, San Francisco football. In the meantime, let's sort of spin it way forward to this draft class of a couple of years ago because, guys, it's shaping up to be awfully impressive. Caleb Williams, obviously the run this year. Jaden Daniels, the run last year. Drake May is in the Super Bowl. Bo Nix, for all we know, might be in the Super Bowl right now if he hadn't broken his ankle. Michael Penix, we have the injury concerns, and obviously things have not started particularly well with J.J. McCarthy, but it's early yet. It brought up an interesting question on our post-show call yesterday, and I'm just going to throw it to the guys. Dominique Foxworth, if you were to recast that draft right now, if you were drafting those quarterbacks, knowing everything we know this minute, in what order would you take the top 3? Which would be your top 3 picks?
Yeah, I think I go Drake, Jaden, then Caleb. I think Jaden's injury obviously took a step back, but I think the year removed from what he did last year was really impressive. The only reason why he was not in MVP conversations as a rookie was because Josh and Lamar went completely insane, and then Jaden also balled out in the playoffs. So yeah, I give Drake May the nod right now because Jaden was unhealthy this season, but I still think when he comes back, if he's healthy, what he did last year with the roster that he had is impressive enough for me to expect him to still be up there with Drake May.
Jeff.
I think I have a similar, but I would flip the Drake. I would have Drake May 1. I would have Caleb Williams 2, and then Jaden Daniels for me being 3. And I just think Caleb Williams took a massive step forward this season with Ben Johnson at the helm. You saw some things that he was capable of doing and some of the plays he's capable of making. And to Nick's point, the Jaden Daniels for me is just the injury prone. Like you're concerned about this. Hopefully they get this fixed. You hate for injury to ever be an influence in any of this. But I would also say, as you look at what Bo Nix has been able to do, being the last of the crew, I mean, how about that? He takes his team to the AFC Championship, and obviously he can't play in it because he's injured, but that's been pretty miraculous what Sean Payton they were able to do. So he obviously moved up quite a bit himself.
I find the list fascinating because we've gone through the 04 draft, and it was Eli, Rivers, and Roethlisberger, and there's always J.P. Lossman hanging around.
Right.
And then in 18, you had Lamar and Josh Allen and Baker and Darnold, and then there was, okay, but there's also
Josh
one more.
Rosen.
Josh Rosen is on there. I look at J.J. McCarthy as he's on the bottom of all these lists, and it's like, is he going to be this postscript, especially with the Darnold story as it's going, or is JJ going to next year in year 3 be like, no, this is my time. I'm going to insert myself into the conversation because it is such a loaded draft class, but JJ McCarthy is a giant asterisk right now.
I'm sorry, I'm going to be a wet blanket. I hate this conversation.
Why do you hate it?
I hate it because in year 2 of Josh Allen, he'd probably be low on people's lists right now.
Right.
I think in terms of how I think it's been 2 years of seeing Jaden had one good year, one not so good year. Caleb, same. I just think time, as the reporter in me who covers these guys week in and week out, time tells everything, and right now it's way too soon.
Of course it is, but the draft is also way too soon, right? You're just projecting what you think these guys are going to be going forward, and so I would just say, in all honesty, the guy who went number 1, that's still who I would take number 1. Oh yes, Caleb Williams with that coach. I think
Yes.
you're asking me who it is that could become the next Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes of the NFL, and obviously you want to talk about premature, but with that coach and that skill set, having seen it for 1 year, I think Caleb Williams. If I were doing the whole thing again, why are you laughing at that?
Because it's premature, just a little.
Because my favorite part is you're taking Drake May and acting like Mike Vrabel doesn't have it. Don't worry about he and Mike Vrabel. They couldn't do anything. They've never, I love that you're married to a Chicago Bears fan, and obviously the bias comes along here. So no doubt, I respect way too early for any of it, but I do like that.
I resent the implication.
Really trying to get his Friday lined up. I see you, Green Man. Get that Friday set.
We will continue to rumble about this